Hey y'all. So it's been a week. Yesterday's video that you saw was obviously recorded as part of the previous week's sessions as it closed out our Friday. But it was perfect segue into what we're going to talk about today and in the next few days. So what are we thinking on? And I loved that it was a Monday. I hated that it didn't get posted like it should have been. But what in the world is going on right now is mostly what I want to say first. And I don't know if you've been feeling the weight or pressure or the heaviness of things that are going on in the world. Even before the strikes against Iran came, I have been feeling such heaviness. And every day, on social media, there was another awful thing that had come to light or that had been found out. And I just honestly get tired of it. I'm so just, we weren't created for this kind of awful. We were created to live in the garden. And so we have got to have the strength and power of the Holy Spirit living in us in order to survive and thrive and fulfill our purpose for such a time as this. So we have been talking about the Lord is my shepherd. And I have to repeat that to myself. I have to encourage myself in that every single day, that he's not just lofty and far away, that he's not somebody else's shepherd. He is my shepherd. And to remember and remind ourselves what that Amplified says in that very first portion of the verse is, the Lord is my shepherd to feed, guide, and shield me. I shall not lack. Me personally, he is my shepherd to feed, guide, and shield. That's provision, direction, and protection. And so if you're in a place of discouragement or where you're beginning to feel oppressed or depressed by the things that you see going on around you, remind yourself that the Lord is your shepherd to feed, guide, and shield. He is your provider, the one who gives you direction and protection. And so, as we talked about yesterday in our closing out, we're habitually meditating on his precepts, teachings, and instructions, the law of the Lord. And that is Psalm 1. Blessed is the one who finds his delight and desire. Nathan is coming in here right now to participate. Who finds his desire and delight in the law of the Lord, and on those precepts, teachings, and instructions of God. He habitually ponders and studies by day and by night. So we are habitually meditating. We are focusing one's thoughts. Now that's the definition that we read yesterday, that to meditate means to focus one's thoughts on. Okay, so what are we meditating on? What are we thinking on? What have we focused our thoughts on? To ponder, to think about, to reflect on, to think or consider, especially quietly, soberly, and deeply. So this kind of study, this kind of meditation, this kind of pondering is not flippant. It's not fast. It is deeply, quietly, soberly, to consider, purposefully thinking about, intentionally setting time aside to think on what? His precepts, teachings, and instructions, the way in which he does things, right? From Matthew 6:33. But seek, aim at, and strive after, first of all, his kingdom, his righteousness, his way of being and doing right. Are we spending time pondering those things? Or are we spending time pondering those hard, harsh, sharp, and pressing things that we see going on around us constantly? What are we choosing to place our thoughts on? Remember, I gave the example yesterday that sometimes thoughts fly through my head. And if I don't adamantly and intentionally say, no, those are not my thoughts, then before I know it, I've gone down a rabbit trail that puts me in a tailspin and reminds me of all the things that are not good, right, and just. And so what does that do to my outlook, to my personality, to the way in which I'm behaving? You know, our thoughts, all of that influences how we act. So what are you focusing your thoughts on today? What are you pondering and meditating on? I encourage you to choose His thoughts, His kingdom, and His righteousness. And let's see if that makes a difference in our day. I'll see you later. Bye.